Hello, welcome to another edition of Loud Dispatch with your hosts here,
Mark?
Mr.
Wee!
Mr. Mark and myself, Ed Cheech.
Gee.
However you would prefer it, Cheech. We'll go with that. Um, Before we get started with this evening, I would like to take a second to thank our sponsors.
Ooh.
Uh, our sponsors, the great internet providers of America who are delivering the greatest 5G, fastest internet capable, reliability that you can expect. And, they want you to know that 30% of the time it works 100% of the time. So,
Now, does the sponsor have money? Or
does
we
this,
just,
oh, we just give them money all the
we give
time.
them
We
money.
give them tons and tons of money. Yeah.
So here we promote the people we sponsor, apparently.
Yeah. They're just providing us with access to being able to Zoom because we're quarantined. That's why. They were like, stay in your house. We'll give you internet that kind of works. It's kind of spotty, but it kind of works.
We'll frustrate you more with our internet.
Go ahead, have your Zoom conversation. We won't make it last. Ha 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 ha. Check it out. Frozen. You're frozen again.
Hey, freeze it up.
Freeze
You'll
it
see
up.
a couple of freezes here.
Oh, I'm sure you will. A couple of glitches. So this evening, Mark, what you drinking? You got anything fun over there? What you got going on?
I'm drinking. I've got a beer opened. It's Summer Love by Victory.
Victory. I've actually had that. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And I have some Wiggle whiskey, Pennsylvania bourbon, made here in PA. Little shout out to Wiggle people.
Maybe you want to do this
soon, huh?
Maybe you want to do
podcast. Sounds right.
I'm just saying, if you've ever been there and taken the tour, oh my God.
No, you've been to Wiggle?
Oh, I've been to Wiggle.
Oh, I want to go.
Oh.
All right, hey, podcast. I think making good whiskey is an art form.
Yeah, I think making whiskey or alcohol in general is an art form in itself. So,
and not only that,
taking
the art form that some people have made and mixing those art forms. Yep, we already talked about this, mixology.
Yes, mixology. Even down to your branding. I'm drinking a Southern Tier IPA, and every bottle is different.
Yeah,
and I respect that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, the artwork on bottles is incredible. I have a can I say for somebody. It's Dirty Hippie beer. Oh, it's a great can.
But, that's what I'm saying.
I want to say so I didn't believe mixology was not essentially an art form until I met a true mixologist once at a hotel bar, and he could not make a bad drink.
Interesting.
I mean, and the little touches he added to one of my favorites, the Moscow Mule.
Mm-hmm.
He showed me his recipe to it, and I mean, it is phenomenal. I love that drink, and he has made the best I've ever had. They were almost $20 a pop.
Yeah, that'll do it.
They were worth it. So
yeah,
okay.
I can see that. I can see that.
So tonight we intend to get into we're going to discuss genres in music and subgenres and how some things are classified, maybe incorrectly.
Yeah.
Or maybe not detailed enough. And we're just going to discuss. This is common discussion between Cheech and I in our normal daily lives. So.
Yeah, not even so much in music as in general, like the whole idea of like the genre, like where did this come from? Like this whole idea of like creating genres and being like, like genres have created entire groups of people. If you think about it, you know what I mean?
Sure,
like
yeah.
if you listen to country, you're like you got to be like an all-American. You know what I mean?
Redneck.
Like yeah, you know what I mean. You listen to Sublime, you're a hippie. Like come on now.
You listen to hardcore metal,
right? You're a metal.
You're a goth rocker. You know?
Right? Exactly. We have literally like with the genre, we have classified ourselves as human beings. And that's just in like the music and like fashion and that whole like industry. You know what I mean? Like
social classification, social genres.
Right. That's exactly what I'm getting at. It's like when you think about like pop music, right? Like what's the first thing that pops in your head is like popular music, right? High fashion, big dollar signs. Like that's it. Why? Because it's popular. Not everybody has it, but everybody aspires to it, right? So now let's go into like a different genre, right? And we make these genres, and we're talking in very broad spectrums too, because this is a whole nother podcast that we can get into of subgenres as well. But we're just talking about your basic breakdown of genres, right? Like, you know, anybody can like any kind of genre of music across the board. And,
Yeah.
you know, it might not be the genre of music per se that you want to be like listening to, but it's a song that you can relate to. So, with that being said, genres are a good way of expressing what type of, you know, art form you're looking to meet. So who you're trying to cater to, if that makes sense.
They're descriptive.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the word I'm trying to think of escapes me right now, but the genre is meant, the name of the genre or whatever is meant to be descriptive.
Correct.
Drop Monday played. We fell under the classification of indie rock, I would say.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
For lack of better terms, what we really considered ourselves was party rock.
Right.
We put ourselves up there in the lines of like Butch Walker, Andrew WK. I always kind of saw as a party rocker.
Wow.
You
Yeah,
know?
right. I would agree with that. I don't
Classically
know that
trained musician too, by the way.
Yes, he also owns his own fun house in New York. If you didn't know that,
No,
dead
that
serious.
sounds
Yeah,
really fun though.
yeah. He owns a venue in New York City, which is kind of crazy, but that's a whole
Okay.
other story. Yeah, but yeah. At any rate,
So, but the description, we wanted people to understand
mhm,
where our sound came from, where our emotion. We talked about emotion in the first
Mhm.
podcast. The emotion that we wanted to invoke, maybe it wasn't the one that we successfully invoked, but the one we wanted to was that party joy feeling, you know,
party vibe, right?
party
Right.
vibe.
Right. Well, I think it's funny too. Like you remember the song by LMFAO, like "Party Rock," right? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And like that's like the first thing that pops in your mind. Nobody says it, but everybody thinks it. Does that make sense? So
It does.
nobody thinks like, oh, we want to listen to party rock, or like, what would be party rock? Like, well, party rock is anything that starts a party.
Yeah.
Where
Anything
like
that's got that good feeling vibe, that, you know,
people,
energetic music.
right? People look so much into genres, and it's very, very simple. Like genres are very specific. They're very, and that's why they're there. You
Well,
know
so
what
let
I
me
mean?
ask you this. So you could go genre, subgenre on a lot of genres, right? Hip
Correct.
hop breaks
Oh,
down to R&B.
let's not go down this road just yet. But go ahead.
Well, but
Go
I'm
ahead.
just
Yeah.
gangster rap, mumble rap as they call it now.
Ooh,
There's lots of. I'm not a big fan, but
trap
there's
scat.
lots of subgenres to rap. What about country?
Oh, there's plenty of subgenres of country as well, man.
Name some though, because I can't. I mean, you can
You
think
got
of
your
country
your
rock,
outlaw rock. You got your outlaw country.
outlaw rock. Okay.
You have your southern twang country, like your like slow ballady
Like
type
cowboy.
country. Yeah, like real bluesy. And trust me, look, for the past 2 months, I've been working as like a line cook, and like that's all they listen to in the morning is like country music. And I always thought, like growing up, like, oh my God, like being a father, the hardest thing I'm gonna ever have to do. Like, if my kid comes up to me and they're like, I'm addicted to heroin, I could be like, I can help you. Like, it's okay. You know what I mean? But if she's like, hey, Dad, listen to this country song, I'm gonna be like, fuck.
Get out of my family.
Oh my God, what am I gonna do? Like,
So
yeah.
I was like that with country up until the last few years.
Right. Okay.
I like it now. Good, fun lyrics. It's usually, so what drives me nuts,
Mm-hmm.
usually they're good stories, and I love storytelling music.
Sure.
And then there's
Sure.
one, like, I forget who sings it, but it's the one about picking a girl up in the little white tank top, and they're driving through cornfields and at the honky tonk, and the dad's shooting up the tailgate with buckshot. And what gets me about this song, what really pisses me off, it's a great song, great
Sure.
story.
Right.
Towards the end, they pull back up. The dad's waiting there in the driveway. The girl
Mhm.
gives the dad some look like, come and get me, and they take off again, right?
As
And
right.
I'm thinking, sweet,
Right.
where are we going now?
Right.
And they
Right.
come
Where we head.
along. And I'm like, you can't do that to people. You can't tell half a story.
You absolutely can. You absolutely can. And it is done. Listen, it is done all the time.
I don't like it.
Good directors do it, and they do it because they leave you on a cliffhanger. And I will bring up Breaking Bad as just a prime example. Have you ever seen the series Breaking Bad?
Loved Breaking Bad.
Okay, Breaking Bad was fantastic. The ending of it was just the way you wanted it to end. That was it. However, it left you on that cliffhanger, like, where is Jesse Pinkman going? Then they released that bullshit, like, El Camino thing.
I didn't even watch that.
I get it, right? I get it. And I'm not shitting on it for anybody that's listening, but I'm just saying it didn't need to be there. Did not need to be there.
I agree.
I like cliffhangers.
But at least they resolved part of the story before they added in that new part. Whereas this song, there's no resolution. Like, I want to know where they end up first. Then they could go on and, okay, did they get married? Did they get divorced? Or whatever. That's fine. You can leave me cliffhanging there. But they took off. Where the fuck they go? Are they coming back? Is he going to be waiting there like 8 a.m. for her?
Bro, so again, I'm a parent now, you know, and my wife and I have been getting into this discussion. Another genre movie, right? Monsters Inc. It's a kids movie. Everybody's seen it, okay? The very, very end, they put the door back together and they get to go back into the door and she goes, Kitty, but in a deeper voice. So you know that time has elapsed, right?
Yes,
we have shown the progression of time elapsing, okay?
Yes.
You know that it is elapsed, and all we do is show Sully's face. Why can't I just get one picture? There she is. Hi. Say hi. Say hi, Vienna. Hi. There we go. But, like, why can't we get one pan over to, like Boo's face, right? Like, we need that resolution. You know what I'm saying? But, again, I'm reminded that, no, we do, in fact, do not need that resolution. You see what I'm saying? So, like, I get it.
Anyway.
But again, getting back to it, it's art. It's open for interpretation. So however you want to, what do you want him to do, right? Like that song, there's a song by a band called Magic, who, if you haven't heard it, I'm sure you've heard it and have no idea who they are. It's like, can I have your daughter for the rest of my life? Say yes, 'cause
I've heard that,
you know what I'm talking about? Okay. Very, like, bohemian, like, why you gotta be so rude, right? And all that good shit, right?
Right.
There's still no resolution. He's like, I'm going to marry her anyway, but you don't know if they actually got married or not. Like, you assume it, and you watch the video, and you're like, well, clearly they got married. But, like, again, it leaves you open to that resolution.
Yeah, which I don't mind.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
That song still pisses me off.
That song pisses you off? Magic makes you mad? You froze.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay like you're talking, because I have no idea what's going on when we freeze, and so I'm just like, all right, what's he?
Thank you, sponsors.
Yep. Cheers.
Cheers. All right.
So, anyways, back to our topic of genres and subgenres.
Yes. So, all right. So, real quick, let me just to break it down, right?
Break it down.
So we try to classify things into genres for a specific reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we know that if you like this one, you're going to like this one because of the same nature. We're not ripping off of another band. We're not taking another band's song. We're not doing anything like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, when I was in The Dream Intended, like, we classified ourselves as pop rock. As much as we wanted to be, like, indie rock.
Yes.
And, like, whatever.
Our big genre was pop rock is what we fell under.
That's what right. Popular
but we tried to
rock
sub
music.
it into party rock to set ourselves aside from the pop genre, what people think pop music is.
Right, correct. Creating.
I knew where you were going with this. I got you.
You're creating a genre all in of itself, right? So who else do you? Okay, so
but why? Because we didn't want to be associated with the Britney Spears or Backstreet Boys or Sum 41, which actually was a pretty cool band at one point. You know, good Charlotte crap.
Every review we got of our album, it was like, sounds like Fall Out Boy. These guys are great.
Yeah,
it's like, you're like, God damn it. No, we don't. Like, I don't, like, son of a bitch. Yes, we do. God damn it. All right. You're right.
We do.
You are right. Correct. Fine. Whatever. Like, but my point being is that, you know, you have these genres to kind of put the music into a category. Now, why do you not want to be associated with it? So more recently, we brought up hip hop, right? Like, there's an artist that I listen to called, his name is Masego. He's trap scat, right? Trap scat, my man, like, does stuff in weird time signatures, like all over the place. He plays every instrument, and then not only does he rap on top of doing the entire beat with like saxes, full on brass instruments, the whole nine. Then he goes ahead and scats at the end of it,
Like jazz scatting.
like jazz scatting. Bebop, doobop, scat, bop, 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 bop,
Louis
bop.
Armstrong. Happy bop, 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 beep.
By the way, if you guys have not seen the Scat Man, remember the Scat Man from back in the day? Like, I'm the Scat Man. I know you know who I'm talking
He might
about.
be having a stroke, people.
No, the Scat Man. If
No,
you
okay,
know,
I don't, but I'll look him up.
look him up and then look up what he did after the Scat Man. You'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that song, and then you'll be like, oh my god,
Okay.
what happened to this guy? This is a prime example of when creating your own genre goes horridly wrong.
Okay.
Horridly wrong. Okay, so the idea of creating a subgenre is fantastic as long as you have an audience for it. If nobody's going to listen to it, right? Like, if I want to make, let's just hypothetically say I want to make, my genre of music is called bullshit rock, right?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, what the hell is bullshit rock? Well, now you've got me invested, because now I'm like, well, what is that? Right?
You at least have me curious, not necessarily invested, but curious.
Right.
I got my dollar bill in my hand. I'm waiting to buy a ticket.
All right, let's see what it's about. You got two things that I like. I like rock music. I like bullshit. So let's see what it's about, right? You know
I'm good at bullshit. I like rock music.
It's right. It's a classic. So we create this genre called bullshit rock, right?
Okay.
Where it's literally rock, and we just tell stories. You could classify it under any other like genre of rock, or just rock in general. However,
It's rock.
Right, it's rock music, but we're going to call it bullshit rock so that we can sell it faster. Okay,
Yeah.
so the idea of a genre, right, is to keep things in order. You want to keep things in order. You want to have like this specification, which is where like.
But it's not the artist necessarily. It's the public, the consumer, that wants to categorize it. The artist likes in most cases, the artist wants it to fall within a zero guidelines. It's their artwork. It's unclassifiable. It might have a different meaning. But to the public, we want to classify artwork.
So let's talk about Real Big Fish real quick.
Ooh.
And the song Sellout.
Ah.
Okay.
Good one. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So selling out, right? The whole song was about the artist selling out to the record label, right?
Yeah.
But when we talk about we've talked about this before, when you sell out to the record label, right, you're not selling out to anybody in particular. You're selling out to make money. You're not if you're not changing your genre, right, which Real Big Fish didn't do.
No, they stayed ska.
Right. So you're not selling out. Like, selling out to me, like, it is kind of like an oxymoron. Like, you want to become popular. This is why you're doing this. Like,
yes.
you're frozen.
I'm going to jump in. Okay, there you are. So selling out, making money is the point. A band typically gets together and wants to make it big, works hard and hustles to make it big to make money.
Mm.
The definition of selling out isn't necessarily making money as much as changing to make money. But you have to evolve at some point.
Right.
Now, whether the evolution is for the better or worse, I don't know. So one of my favorite bands is Limp Bizkit. All right. But only their first album, maybe into their second. I like some of the second stuff a lot. But their first album was so raw and so emotional and so guttural that you can't deny how great of a piece of artwork it is. Angry art.
Yeah.
And then you see them as they start to make money, the record label starts pushing them to put out albums. They probably spent 5 years really refining that $3 Bill Y'all album before it really got released. And they really wrote these songs from the heart. And then all of a sudden they have to start pumping shit out because they got to keep making money, and the record label has to keep making. So they start putting out shit like Nookie, and which was a fun song. I didn't love it, but it was a fun song, and rolling, and all that shit, air raid version, whatever the fuck it is. And, but they're still, that first album, one album puts them in one of my favorite bands, probably top 10, in the genre of rap rock.
Okay.
Specifically, there were like two. Korn was, I think, the original. Rage Against the Machine. I love Rage, man.
Man,
I'm going to that concert. Unless they cancel the concert, I'm going to it. I put a ton of money into it. I am so freaking excited to go to this show.
Not disagreeing with you.
I got a ticket if you want to go.
Listen, I'm gonna have to stop you real quick, okay?
Go ahead.
Because exactly where you're going is exactly what I'm talking about, right? So what you're talking about, right? Like their first album was amazing, and then they started doing more like hokey shit that like wasn't as good, you know what I mean? But they're selling more albums, right? More, and I get that, right? However, you also get that working with different producers as well, different studios. Like, so it may be artists, maybe this, maybe that. But what I think is funny about that, right, is that before it used to be like, all right, you drop an album, oh my God, this is incredible, right? And you would look at the discography and there might be like 2 or 3 albums in it, right? Then you look at artists like Lil Wayne, who like him or hate him, it doesn't matter. His discography is obnoxious.
It is.
It's obnoxious. And if you tell me that you've listened to every single Lil Wayne song, I'll tell you you're a fucking liar, all right? Just because, like, he hasn't even listened to them all. Like, there's no way. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, like, plausible. So, like, you look at some of these artists, like, now the big thing, especially in, like, the hip-hop game, right? It's not about, like, refining your genre and really having this good genre like you have with like J. Cole and Maze and like Jid and like rappers like that, like just your Nas's, your Jay-Z's, your like lyricists, right?
Yes.
You have this more like it's more about the beat than it is about what you're actually saying.
Yes.
Which brings us back to the first podcast where we talked about Blues Traveler's Hook, which I hope everybody has listened to by now and read the lyrics, because if you haven't, again, Blues Traveler's Hook, it brings you back. Like, that's the whole point of the song.
Yeah.
Or like another one is Ben Folds 5, right? Brick. Everybody's like, oh, it's a love song. It's a love song. Motherfucker, that song is about getting an abortion. It's about getting a fucking abortion. But the way he sings it is just like so eloquent that you're like, oh, let's make this our wedding song. Like,
that's the Dave Matthews song, like Crash, where it's like, talking about like, flash me your shit, you know?
Right.
But everybody's like, oh my God, yes.
But this brings up the whole point of like, right? Like, you can still be in your genre, create music that's ridiculous, and stick to what you like to do.
You can,
It's absolutely possible. And
name me a band who you don't think is sold out. How about that one?
Who I don't think is sold out?
Someone in the popular genres. I mean, we know a lot of bands that a lot of people might not know. Can you think of any? It hasn't.
This is gonna sound crazy, and I'm gonna go way far out on a limb, but there's a couple that I'm just gonna name right off the bat, and they're gonna be big sluggers, and I'm gonna say them, and you're gonna be like, okay. So I'm gonna give Jay-Z a shout out because I don't think that Jay-Z has sold out. I still feel like he puts out a ton of fire. I feel like Justin Timberlake is the same person. He's just worked with different producers.
Now, it helps that he started where he started. And I was thinking Will Smith, too. Will Smith constantly puts out great stuff. And it's always been in his line.
Yes.
Namely, his line has always been kind of a sellout line, but
right.
Never changed who he is.
No, and honestly, I mean, even down to like the new Aladdin movie that he does, right? He's still like, I'm still gonna be like hip hop, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, I get it. Good enough. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, we accept it.
we've come to this conclusion that like we know that these artists are gonna put out this, so like, okay, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
as far as like new artist wise, like I said, I mentioned J. Cole earlier. I feel like he's like fantastic. I feel like Motion City Soundtrack, like to side note off of like hip hop, I feel like they've put out like some serious bangers. I feel like they've like kept consistency, and when they felt like they got to a stagnant point, they broke up and decided to reform again. So it's like one of those things where, and you've been in this situation where you've been in a band for a long time, you start to feel stagnant, you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
start to feel like you're writing the same things over and over again.
Creativity gets
Right.
blocked. It gets stagnant. It's a great word.
Right. So how do you block stagnant, they call it writer's block. How do you get rid of like this stagnant and like energy? Like how do you get past it? And like this is the point where I think a lot of people sell out, quote unquote, right? Like,
Yeah.
is the fact that they've come to this point at their careers where they're like, I feel like I can't write anything else, right? Like you look at the Britney Spears meltdown, right, where she like shaved her head and shit, right? Just I can't
Yeah.
write anything else. You're not writing anything, right? And
Yeah.
then you got people like Sia, right?
Okay.
Sia and like Butch Walker is another one who like, or Weird Al Yankovic. Jesus, look at Weird Al's discography real quick. If you get a
Yeah.
chance, look at his discography. Look at the people that he has produced. Look at the people that he's written for. I mean, really look at him as an artist, and you will see that like these are the people that I'm talking about. Some people, you know, you have this like flash in a pan, you're cool, and then you start to age and you're like Justin Bieber, I feel like is one of those artists that like
Gonna
he
fall off.
I feel like he's trying to be the next Kanye West. Okay. So hear
Okay.
me out on this one, right? Kanye West is a genius, and I'm saying this, take it however you want, from a promotional standpoint, right? He will do any kind of like stunt performance, like, you know, and then he'll turn around and be like, oh, by the way, here's a new album, right? That you've been
Yeah.
waiting for. Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, you got like all these like mixed like emotions and everything else. Like, but like, I feel like when you do that and when you look at it from that perspective and you look at how many different artists you have out there and becoming stagnant, becoming a new artist, the term selling out really isn't selling out if you're writing with new people in a different perspective. And I say this because I've been through so many different bands. Like, I have literally been from like rock rap to ska to punk rock to pop rock to like, you know what I mean? Straight
Yeah.
rap. Like, I've been all over the board, and I've been able to do that because like that's just you get to this point where it just flows through you, and
Well, you don't classify yourself as any one thing.
which brings me to my I'll leave this as my staying point. I know that this was supposed to be a podcast about genres, and we've kind of gotten like way off topic.
This is probably going to be the flow of most of the podcast, by the way.
Yeah, just to give you guys a heads up.
We'll give you a genre. We'll give you a topic, but it's probably not going to stick to it.
Yeah, I mean, so genres are great. We're going to reapproach this whole topic when it comes to like genres because and like subgenres, because I feel like there's so much here. Like we talked about music genres today, right?
Yeah.
But just to give you guys a preview, right? Like let's talk about tattoo genres.
Oh yeah.
You've seen Ink Masters, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have different genres of tattoos.
Yeah.
If you talk about baking, right? You watch any bake show and then you watch any British bake show, and they're totally different. they're different art forms is what I'm getting at. And there's different genres of what you're making. There's different
Oh yeah.
kinds of food. Like when you go out, right, and you're like, what do you want for dinner? It's not just like food. I mean, yes, that's what everybody says, but what we're getting at is that you're looking for some type of food. Man, I want Mexican
taste.
food. Right. I want this genre, this type of food. So a genre is really like a masking of like what we're looking at, what we want, what we hope to achieve, right? Like this is what a genre is. With that being said, most of the time you're classified into a genre, or you create your own genre to make who you are, right?
Yeah.
To sell albums, to sell out, quote unquote. But again, we've established, selling out doesn't necessarily mean selling out. It just means you're making money. That's what selling out is. And you're becoming popular, which is the goal for everybody.
And if
You know what
someone
I mean?
changes their style, it doesn't necessarily mean they sold out. So I was going to bring this up.
Mhm.
Let's look at some of the really long-term bands out there.
Right.
Aerosmith.
Right.
All right. Aerosmith has done many different albums in many different styles.
Right.
But when you look back as a collective,
Mm-hmm.
it's Aerosmith. It's just Aerosmith. It's their sound.
Right.
How they evolved over the years, the decades. Metallica,
Mhm.
you know, hard. Then they came out with Load and Reload.
Right.
And,
right.
Saint Anger, I think, might have been the next. I don't know, but so they went through some different experimental stages. Garage Days. I actually love some songs off Garage Days. Now they're getting back into what sounds like the original Metallica sound, but they had to stretch their wings and their legs, and they had to go this way and that way and evolve, and I believe that although at the time it seems like it's selling out, when you look back at the end of it all,
Right.
just an evolution of sound. It's an evolution of a band, of a genre.
Right.
You know,
Right. I completely, and that's exactly my point.
My point, my staying point here is don't judge an artist just because they started to release something a little different. Even Picasso went through stages and different art forms and different media even.
Taylor Swift was country.
What's that?
Taylor Swift was country. I'm just throwing it out there.
Who did that? Jonathan Davis from Korn released a country album, I thought.
Man, there's been so many, like, you know what I'm saying?
It's awesome.
Like, I don't listen. Hey, look, I'm not shitting on any genre. Like, go ahead, put out like sci-fi disco. I don't give a shit. I'll listen to it. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll give it a shot.
But then again, like, I've listened to crazy shit too. So my final thoughts is, right, like, don't let a genre scare you. Is my point. My as far as my final thoughts for this podcast, don't let genres scare you. Don't let subgenres scare you. Just fucking listen.
Let's hey, wait. So we're gonna start a new we're gonna end the podcast with final thoughts.
I like it. Yeah.
All right. Now for final thoughts from Cheech and Mark.
Right.
So Cheech has already said his, but so my final thoughts are: let art evolve no matter what form. Let it evolve. Let the artist evolve. Don't judge prematurely just because they release something that's not like their originals.
Right.
You know, and try and be more accepting of art in many different forms. Even same with tastes, food, anything like that. Try something new all the time. Don't just say no. Don't be scared of stuff. You know, enjoy it. Enjoy art just like you would enjoy life. Find the positives. Try new things.
Exactly. All right, so let's go ahead and end this. I have a feeling this is going to be like part one of like several parts of this genre topic. But that's quite all right because we have plenty of time to discuss. So if anybody wants to chime in, if anybody out there is listening, if anybody likes what they hear, please, by all means, share with your friends. Tell everybody, let everybody know. Loud Dispatch.
Check us out on Facebook, Loud Dispatch, Instagram, Loud Dispatch Podcast.
Yeah.
Twitter is Loud Dispatch, or it's D Dispatch LOU. I'm not really sure anymore.
We're throwing out some of these videos right now just to get you guys, like, you know, an idea of what we're talking about, what our topics are and everything. But in all honesty, you know, they will be podcasts here within the next month. So just keep in mind, you know, welcome to our crew. Hi.
Yeah.
This
Welcome
is
to
Loud
Loud
Dispatch.
Dispatch. Thanks for
Come
listening.
and talk to us. Bye.